Here's why Dolores' plan in Westworld Season 3 is way worse than you think. After a nearly 2-year hiatus, Westworld has returned for its third season. It premiered over the weekend, and despite the change of location, it continued to bring us everything we've come to expect from this show. Wanton violence, philosophical dialogue, and Bernard having a crisis of identity. Never change, Bernard. Keep being you. The Season 3 opener, Parque Domine, got out of the West and into the rest of the world, as we tracked Dolores, Bernard, and newcomer Caleb, played by Aaron Paul, across Los Angeles, London, and beyond. And while this episode gave us a lot of questions like, where can I find that crime app on the App Store, asking for a friend, and where does Dolores get the coolest dresses of all time from, asking for a friend, and the biggest question of all, what is the mysterious plan she's working towards and what could it mean for humanity, asking for a friend.
F off.
Now, of course, before we get into all of that, we gotta throw up a spoiler warning because this episode of Nerdist News is definitely gonna get into all the nitty-gritty of episode 1 from Westworld's third season. So if you haven't seen it yet, please watch it now and come back to us afterwards, but if you're sticking around, give us a like and subscribe. Now, first of all, what happened in this episode? Well, first we get to know Aaron Paul's Caleb. He's basically a cog in the proverbial machine. He's a former soldier who has to take on shady jobs on the side to help pay for his mother's hospital care. And while he's trying to get above his station in life, i.e. get his social score up, it's clear that the system prefers to keep him where he is. Now, we also learn that Bernard is trying to keep a low profile, working at a slaughterhouse under the alias Armand Delgado, which coincidentally is an anagram for damaged Arnold. He can't be trusted with his own brain, which, honestly, big mood, buddy. That's a nightmare up there. Anyway, now we also know there's another host brain inside of Charlotte Hale's host body, and she, along with an AI proxy, are wrangling control over Delos. We're not sure who's who yet, but they've got to be working under Dolores' purview. Now, speaking of Dolores, the thrust of this episode follows her in some corporate espionage hijinks. She tries to learn more about Insight. It's a new company we're introduced to in this episode that might be even worse than Delos in terms of pure evil, which is saying something, because Delos opened Westworld. Now, remember that menacingly large supercomputer that we saw in the trailers? Well, it turns out this giant spherical rig contains the artificial intelligence known as Rehoboam. And I know that doesn't sound worrisome at all, but just kidding, it's actually the worst thing on the planet, potentially. It literally strategizes and effectively maps out the lives of everyone, essentially removing free will and determination from the mix. Basically, Insight's pitch for Rehoboam is want to find the perfect job, spouse, and life with all of the hassles of trial and error? We've got you covered. Which sounds legit on the surface, but as we saw with Caleb, things don't seem to be going too well for anyone other than the mega rich. So basically, thanks to Rehoboam, which you Bible heads out there may recognize as one of the kings of Judah, Caleb and most of the rest of humanity appear to be caught in the same sort of loops that the hosts were trapped in on Westworld. So it makes sense that Dolores want to destroy it, right? Well, maybe. We have some thoughts, but before we get to that, how did her plan play out? Well, we see that she manages to replace one of Insight's higher-level personnel with one of the host brains she smuggled out of Westworld, but we don't know who it is yet that she replaced. It's also revealed that someone broke into and was testing the Rehoboam system, which was probably Dolores, but we don't know exactly who it was, or what was learned, or stolen, or possibly altered. But Dolores learns a couple of extremely important things. First, Rehoboam is so good at strategizing, it appears to be prescient, and she needs to find the only person who has access to Rehoboam's inner workings, someone called Serac. We don't know anything about Serac, but they're definitely Dolores' next target. Also, we don't want to dig too deep on that, but Serac is also an anagram for scare, which, just saying, coincidence? I think not. But what exactly is Dolores' plan? Well, in an interview with Entertainment Weekly regarding Season 3, Evan Rachel Wood said, "I don't think it'll be what people expect, but we will certainly get to learn more about what she's really after." She also said, "So it may not make a lot of sense to us for a couple of seasons, might start making sense now, because she's had a plan the whole time, we just don't know what that is yet." So basically, it seems like it's going to go one of two ways, and all of this ties into the episode's title, Parque Domine, which is Latin for "Spare us, Lord." As we mentioned earlier, Dolores could be taking the high road and wants to take Rehoboam out so she can restore a semblance of freedom of choice to the masses of humanity, who are basically no better off currently than the hosts following their predetermined loops. Or she's going to go renegade and become a vengeful god. Now, we think there's a strong chance she could galaxy brain herself by taking over Rehoboam. She's still pretty pissed off about how she and her kind were treated, so what better way to get back at humanity than by taking over the system and running humans like hosts themselves? Now, considering what we saw Dolores do to the humans in Westworld, well, we can probably guess where this is gonna go, aka clean up on Isle Us. Now, Bernard is certainly afraid of Dolores' plan because he says he can't stop her by himself, and he knows that something terrible is coming for them all, which is probably why he's heading back to Westworld, either to get answers or to get help. Whatever terrible plan Dolores has for Rehoboam, we can bet it's going to be both violent and delightful. And if you want an even deeper dive into Sunday's episode, head over to Nerdist.com right now for their full breakdown about everything you missed. But until then, what do you folks think? What exactly is Dolores' plan? And did you know that Rehoboam is an anagram for boomer? And did you watch all the way to the end of the episode? Because what the heck is going on with Maeve? She's in this weird Reichsworld place. Also, petition to officially call it World War.
F off.
Anyway, let's discuss. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed what you saw, why not give us a like and subscribe? And if you want to get notified every time we go live with a show or drop a new video, please feel free to mash that little bell. That way you can be up to date on all the latest theories, news, and rumors in the pop culture world. Stay safe, be healthy, see you next time.